Dave, the next thing, we'll kind of keep the college football together in a sense because on ESPN, Todd McShay and Mel Kiper kind of did a combined mini mock, they're calling it, where they did 10 picks. And for me, for what I will say for us, our 2.0, I'm going to do that when the regular season ends, just because for me, I don't want to do one where like the Giants are a playoff team and then at the end of the year, a couple weeks later, something happens and they're now the 5th overall pick in the draft because that's how the NFC East has gone. So our 2.0 will be in a couple weeks, but this at least gives us something to look at from the draft. And all I wanted to do was say, okay, this is their top 10 and kind of pick and choose things we want to talk about. This is where they ran it down. So at number 1, their consensus pick was Trevor Lawrence. Number 2, they adjusted Justin Fields. The Bengals at 3, they had going with Penny Sewell, offensive tackle. Chargers at 4, going Jamar Chase. Cowboys at 5, going with Micah Parsons, the linebacker. Falcons at 6, going with Patrick Surtain, the cornerback. Eagles at 7, going with Devonta Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. Panthers at 8, going with Kyle Pitts, the tight end. Lions at 9. This one shocked me. Zach Wilson, quarterback from BYU. And then the Broncos going with, this is going to be a name that I fuck up that I'm going to have to fucking practice this year. Yeah. Owusu-Koramoah?
Yeah, I think that's probably about the right area.
Yeah. I believe he's a linebacker. I would have to look him up. He's from Notre Dame. He's skyrocketed up.
Linebacker or an edge?
The first thing I want to mention to you, Dave, and the question I want to ask to you is the Lions at 9. Do you see them going with, like, no matter where they are they going to go with a quarterback? Because right now they don't have a head coach. Well, they have Bevels, but he's not the guy for next year. They're probably going to interview and hire somebody. Right. Should they be looking to move on from Matty Stafford? Like, do you see that as a prime option for the Lions?
I mean, if you can get a great deal for Matt Stafford out there in the open market from a team like the Colts or the Bears or, any other team that is quarterback needy, then yeah, sure, you could move on from him. He's good. There's nothing wrong with Matt Stafford. He's just suffered from playing in Detroit his entire career. Like,
yeah,
is what it is. You don't need to sugarcoat it for the Detroit Lions fans. They know exactly what their situation is. I think they want to see Matt Stafford succeed, and the only way for that to happen is to either build around him, which they have failed to do, or to move on from him and say, hey, we are starting over. I think they got a good guy in Swift, even though he fucked up week 1 and gave the Bears a big old dub right out the gates. I think he's a good player. I think he's a difference maker in that backfield. I think they got to work on their offensive line. They got to rebuild some weaponry on the defensive end. But I just don't know. He's still young. Matt Stafford's still, like, as far as quarterback age, I know he's had an injury history, which, yes, if you are, here's the thing. I hate myself because I'm like, all good teams should draft a quarterback once every couple of years.
32.
32. Okay, sorry. 31, 32. The recent birthday?
February 7th. So yeah,
not really at all. So he's coming up on 33.
He'll turn 33 at the end of the year. End of the football season.
Not concerned. Quarterbacks are elite at age 42. So
you can play until 50 if you're Tom Brady.
Yeah, maybe. So no, I think Stafford's got like 6 good years left in him, no problem. Each needs to be taken care of. You can't let the man have a broken fucking back because his offensive line is trash.
Yeah.
I think the smart move is to take a quarterback. Yes. Do I think it forces him out of town? No. Do I think it gives them some security and makes them feel better? And if something does happen, they have an option. If he does struggle, they can look to move on from him and not feel horrible like they've got no backup plan.
Yeah.
So I 100% am cool with them taking a quarterback in the top 10 here. It doesn't mean that the team is rebuilding immediately, but it does mean that that's where the thought is going.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this kind of brings in one of the other interesting things from the top 10 is, like, for the Lions, for me, Matthew Stafford, and I wanted to pull up the contract situations for the Lions in this. I don't think, like, if you think Zach Wilson is the guy, go ahead and take him. Like, obviously, like, if you think Lance is the guy, take him. If you think Wilson's the guy, having either of those guys at number 9, would not be a bad pick if you think that he's the guy moving forward. Trask could rise. I'd say depending on how the rest of everything, like he's a guy that needs to finish the year strong. He's going to be a guy that benefits from us diving into his tape. That could be good or bad. But also, he's a combine and a pro.
Numbers,
he does. He's got better. Like I think JD even says he's a better season than Joe Burrows did last year. But like he's gonna make his mark at the combine and pro days or recording pro days, depending on how we are. By the time we get to the draft, yeah. But like Stafford's under contract until 2023. I got to click on that to see what that 2023. It's like a yellow number, which I'm not used to. But like for me with the Lions, a big thing they're going to have to deal with this offseason, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, Kenny Golladay, Jamal Agnew, 4 of their wide receivers are up at the end of the year. Wow. So it's like...
I assume they're bringing back Golladay.
Yeah, I expect Golladay to get it, but it's like Danny Amendola, Marvin Jones, like depending on how much they want, like do you really want to bring any of those guys back? To me, I look at it and I go, and this brings in the other side of it and kind of brings in the Eagles pick where the Chargers getting Jamar Chase, I kind of looked at and went, that's interesting because I never looked at the Chargers as like a dire need at wide receiver, but that would be a BPA pick. Keenan Allen with Jamar Chase would be like, holy shit, that's a good thing. And obviously them missing out on Sewell, which offensive tackle would be the Chargers' biggest need. The Panthers going with Smith, though, it's one of those things of how is everyone looking at Jaden Waddle's injury with Alabama? Because it was Chase Waddle, then Smith. Now this tells me that are the experts thinking it's Chase Smith and now Waddle's down? Like, are we going to have to wait? To me, it's like, I think it's at the combine, everything will square out. The injury, 100%. He'll get looked at physically. But like, for me, that shocked me because I still have Jalen Waddle as my second best wide receiver over his teammate Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys on tape have some incredible work. So, like, I think this is another situation like last year. You watch multiple wide receivers go from one team, and you're like, honestly, put them in a bag, shake it up. It depends on the system they go to. Depends on their quarterback. Depends on, the given day who's going to have the better career. I think this could be a very similar situation. I do like Waddle, but I do like Smith. Just where are you going to go? Like, could I see them both succeed at the NFL level? 100%. It's just a matter of personal preference because they're different style of wide receiver. They're not both the same exact, template for a wide receiver. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just, and plus the Eagles, like they're going to need a wide receiver. I think they're going to
need about 3.
Just they should the first 3 picks
of taking after former Bears players and just go pay Allen Robinson. Huge win. It's that easy. You guys just keep digging out of our, dumpster. Just go pick up Allen Robinson.
Side question with that, and I'm asking you, Bears fan. If you're the Bears, do you let Allen Robinson walk, or do you franchise tag him and then try to trade him?
It depends who we got under the tag next year. Like, who else is in competition for said tag next year?
Good point.
He doesn't want to be here. That's very clear. So the tag is just a great move if we can get picks back. I think that it wouldn't be the worst financial move for us, but it just comes down to if we have someone else who we want to keep around and they want to be here, we just are in a contract situation where we can't do long-term quite now. I think it's better to go that route if possible than to do the greed play of like, haha, we got you, motherfucker. Like, somebody's going to have to pay up to get you now. Yeah.
No, I mean, to me, if I was going to franchise tag him, maybe it's just how I think I would be as a GM. I'd just be like, yo, Allen, I'm gonna franchise tag you, but we are going to move you. Give me your list of teams. You are not staying here. Like, I am only franchise tagging you so we can get something out of you, and not have you walk. Because, like, I agree with Jake. Robinson could be a top 10 wide receiver if he actually gets a quarterback. Kind of like the thing with Chase here. Like, I like it because it's like, holy shit, you're giving Air Bear a weapon like Jamar Chase.
I mean,
like, Giving him Waddle, or because like Jake also says, he says it's a hot take. I don't think it's that much of a hot take.
Like Mike Williams exists.
I mean, yeah, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, but like giving him is that the problem? Or should the Chargers look at it and go, you know what, Sewell went above us at the Bengals. We're just going to go with the next tackle down, whether you think that's Cosme from Texas, whether you think that's Leatherwood from Alabama, because some people think that Leatherwood's actually the best left tackle in this draft, not Penny Sewell. Should the Chargers just be tackle or bust, or should it be hey, Sewell went above us, Leatherwood or Cosme are outside the top 10 or later than 4, and we're just going to go BPA here? Like, that's why that pick jumped off the page to me, because wide receiver is not a big need for the Chargers. They have Allen, they have Williams, and like, what, Chase would be then the number 3, which I guess would be you just have more riches.
Probably jump Williams, but I mean, like, Williams, there's still hope there. He's not totally toast. I just think, again, it's if you want to spoil your quarterback, that's the way you do it. You either get to lock down the offensive line a little bit more, which they could do. 100%. No one would argue with them going after another offensive lineman, because you can never. That's a position where you can never not have enough health. Like, look, as a Bears person right here, we got like 14 offensive linemen dead, just dead. We're playing practice squatters and random guys pulling off the street. Like, Ricky could be our right tackle next week. We don't know. Having 3 wide receivers who are very good is awesome, but having the security to know that, hey, we got like 3 blue chip guys on our offensive line, that's how you build a successful offense. Like, fuck all the weapons. That doesn't even matter. If you don't have an offensive line, you aren't moving the ball.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why it's like I fall into the camp of offensive line or bust. And if you're sitting there at the Chargers and you're going, hey, Leatherwood or Cosme are not in this area, trade back with somebody. Like, if Chase is sitting there, call up a team like the Bears, call up a team like the Eagles, call up a team like the Lions, like a team that could call a team like the Patriots. Patriots wouldn't trade up. That's not what Bill Belichick does.
Bill Belichick does.
He trades back, if anything. But like, yeah, I look at it and I go, if the tackle's not there, trade back. Like Jake mentioned in a Twitch chat, you trade back. The only other pick that I questioned here, Dave, was the Panthers one of Kyle Pitts. Not because I don't think Kyle Pitts is worthy of this, because if a team like the Patriots were up there, or a team like Jacksonville was not number 2 and were a little later, I could see them going with a Pitts. However, with the Panthers, I look at it and like their top 3 needs, I would say, are linebacker, cornerback, and then offensive tackle. And it's like, I see guys around that area that fit with more of their needs than a Kyle Pitts, because there are also tight ends later in the draft that are maybe not be the number 1 tight end, but they're good tight ends.
Like a Brevin Jordan out of Miami?
Yep, I think he could be good. Like, even if you have to trade back into the first round and get, I think his name's, it's like Freiermuth, the kid out of Penn State. Yeah. Like, depending on how he goes, because he's a guy that highest, it's like mid-first round, but he could be a guy that slides to, like, look at Hockenson and stuff like that. We thought Fant and Hockenson were going to go so high, and then they fucking dropped.
Yeah, I think the difference is Kyle Pitts literally gives me wide receiver vibes at tight end. Like, he has incredible size, good strength, and great hands. And his stats have gotten so inflated by playing in that Florida system with Trask. Like, what he's over 10 touchdowns, right? I
think so. Let me pull it up.
Double digit on top, which is insane. Like, that's he's a guy who his stats are one thing, but like, he on the film is like, oh, you want to go get a tight end? You want the next like Travis Kelce kind of tight end? You want the next guy who's going to just be a huge threat? You know, George Kittle, Travis Kelce. It's these guys who 11
touchdowns.
It's insane. You want a guy who is a threat across the middle of the field, who can run a seam route and just punish other teams. Kyle Pitts is that guy. Like, he's one of those guys who I put like an asterisk by, because I could see taking him early in the first round. I absolutely have no problem with it, because I think he is a special tight end. And Like when you go through the top tight ends in the league, we always talk about it like there's maybe 7 of them at the top, and then it's everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have one of those difference makers, you are special on that team, and your team is special for having you.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at the Panthers, like Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore are locked up. Curtis Samuel, Pharaoh Cooper, they're going to be unrestricted free agents, and like the Panthers don't have a good tight end. Like they've got 3 guys to me in Manhurts, Ian Thomas, and Colin Thompson, who they don't have a Gronk, they don't have a Kelsey, they don't have like the big names. So like I could see it, but it's just like a
quarterback's best friend, Ricky.
A tight end. You're good. Plus, I mean, they might even look at it as a look at Teddy Bridgewater when he had Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph, he ain't your Travis Kelce, but like, God, Kyle Rudolph. I feel bad for Kyle Rudolph only because like his career has taken like especially fantasy wise, it was like shit. Kyle Rudolph's a god, and then it's like, oh shit, they're throwing to Diggs and Thielen more. Now they're throwing to Thielen and Jefferson more.
To Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
With some gaps in the middle. But point being, I think, look, the athlete that is Kyle Pitts, 100% worth taking in the top 15. I have no problem with him going top 10 even. Yeah. I think he's a difference maker because speed, size, hands. He seems like a smart guy. He knows how to find gaps in teams playing zone defense. What is he pushed off EJ? Oh, push off
the Saints thing.
Smart play. He's a smart player. The Pat McAfee just look hard cam and just do this.